Are live. Doing something a little different. I'm on my phone today, and normally I do these subscriber specials every 1,000 subscribers. And part of it is I like to try and help uh, as a way of saying thank you for people who watch the channel. Thank you for watching to the 1,000 that are new, and to the, in this case, 27,000 that came before. So thank you so much. And so I try to do an hour or so live stream. So if you're new, that's what these are about. Today we're actually doing it from the phone. I just have been sitting all day, and it's been a long week, so I just decided to live stream it on the phone. And we actually don't do too many at night, so I feel kind of bad about that. It's about 9 p.m. here, so I know about half my audience is in different time zones, and let me actually go move closer to the Wi-Fi. But I know like a lot of my audience is in different time zones and things like that. So I figure let's try and show a little bit of love for everybody in a different time zone today, and we'll do it live in a different area today. So how is everybody doing today? I am exhausted, to be honest with you, and I hope everybody is doing well. It's been a long week. April got laid off of her job recently. Not just her, like basically her entire work closed up and they're going out of business. So she is filed for unemployment today. We'll be fine financially and things like that. So don't worry about that. We've been saving for a house, so that may delay things a little bit, but that's just one little thing going on in my life. But this isn't necessarily about me. I'll just keep talking about me until you guys have questions. You can see a little different perspectives today. Thank you, Kronzy. Yeah, Kronzy, I know you've been here for a while. Edward as well, David, Neil. How is everybody doing today? But yeah, so I am... It's on fire. Yo, man, I bring the fire, all right? I spit hot fire. FinTech, Casey, what's going on? But yeah, so... you guys may see a return of April Learns to Code. I don't know. We'll see we'll see something new. We are always together. Hey, for life, baby, for life. All right. So for buying a house, we're actually looking to buy an investment property, specifically a multi-unit property, so either duplex or house with a back house are all the things that we're looking at. The real estate market in Florida is pretty cheap, so I'll instantly actually be paying my mortgage by renting out one of the units, and so I'm not too worried about it, although with April now collecting unemployment and our lease isn't actually up for 7 months, it's probably gonna be one of those things where we're going to hold off for a little bit. We're actually looking at a unit tomorrow. I'm going through the pre-approval process, all that sort of stuff. But we'll see. We'll see where we're at, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Hello there. I'm taking a PHP course in college. I was wondering if you have any good suggestions for tutorials to help me give me a better understanding. Although I have not taken it, Traversing Media has just created a PHP course. I saw it in my feed the other day, and Brad does an excellent job teaching a lot of the basics. So if you're interested in a PHP course, I think he's probably charging $25 or $20 if you go to his channel, Traversing Media. I have no doubt that it's a quality course. And I take care of you, yeah. What's going on? I'm good, man. Just we've been saving. We've been I have been busy. I you know, you start a new job, you study outside of work, so that's kind of what's been going on with me. I've also been filming videos in the morning, and I was doing some contract work recently with somebody, and so that took up a little bit of time. I've also been, I don't know, I've just been busy, man. So I'm trying to film. I've only got like 6 videos done of about 35 that I need, but I've been working on the How to Create a Coding Channel course. How's April dealing with the job loss? She seems to be okay. She's just kind of, you know, she's gonna be able to get unemployment. Financially, we're fine. She doesn't really like. No, she didn't get fired. Her work went out of business because they lost a big contract, and so everybody got laid off basically. And but she's doing fine. She's looking. She's already revamped her resume. She's redoing her LinkedIn, all that good stuff. So. Yes, I did talk about Bit Petite in a recent video. A lot of people didn't like that I shared that high-risk investment. So everybody has their own opinion. I thought it was a fair video. I just kind of gave my 2 thoughts about it. So Florida has a unique thing. Florida has a unique thing where essentially they will give you $7,000 or so if you're unemployed to pay for certain schools that they've said okay to get like certifications in. So that's something that she's looking into as well. They are not giving withdrawals this morning on Bitcoin. Really? I just withdrew. Maybe it wasn't Bitcoin that I got my money. Although I've had money with Bitcoin, I have money in Ethereum and Litecoin, so I could have gotten money from them both. I'll have to check it out in a little bit. Is April going to be picking up 100 Days of Code? Maybe. She's definitely going to be studying something. She's kind of handling all the unemployment paperwork that goes with it, and everything else. Yeah, just kind of figuring it out. She found out on Monday. Luckily, I mean, we have always, because we've been broke for so long, we always now live below our means, so we can live off my income just fine, and we have for about 6 months while she wasn't working when she got down here. Really all it does is put a little bit of a damper on our savings for a house, which isn't a big deal. So she's looking to transition careers anyhow, which is why she's been studying project management. So hopefully, you know, a lot of times you can find a lot of opportunity in unfortunate things, right? The example I give is like when you get your heart broken by some useless woman or man, right? Oftentimes it sucks in the moment, but later on you find the man or woman of your dreams. What's the property tax range of the places that you're at in Florida? I'm not really quite sure. We're looking in a $200,000 to $250,000 range, so I'm not sure what the property tax range breaks down to for that. I'll know tomorrow. We're actually looking at combined, mind you, it's a back house and a front house. It's $229,000. It's a 7-bedroom, 4-bath if you add them all together property, and I'm sure we'll have some info on what the property tax is on the paper that they'll hand us when we go and look at it. So let's see here. Any tips for a small coding YouTube channel? I started a few months ago. I'm having a really tough time getting an audience. Thumbnails are important. I would also say I would also say that you need to understand what your content is and who you're going to. Sometimes I watch some channels where people have a very difficult time explaining. I would say make sure the content that you're delivering is explained well. If you're doing tutorials, that's super important. Breaking down things into bite-sized pieces and not assuming that someone should know things. I don't really think there's any disadvantage to spending 2 to 3 extra seconds explaining something. And it could be something as easy as every other time you use map, explaining how it's creating a new array or something like that and why you're using it in that situation. That might be one thing. If you buy a property, would you try to Airbnb it or straight up rent it out? It depends on the situation, but I'm not opposed to either. If we could rent it out immediately with like a 6 to 12 month lease that would pay for the mortgage, we would probably do that just so that we don't have to hassle with it. That would probably be my preferred way. But also I don't know what the Airbnb rental situation is like in Florida. But if it turned out that we would make more money with Airbnb, we could definitely try that for the first month or two. And then if it turned out that we're only making like $500 a month when we could rent it for $1,000 a month, we would probably just go and rent it and then have somebody stuck in there. What's your opinion on freelancing? I'm not talking about online sites, mostly about getting some local businesses worth the time. No. My opinion with freelancing is that is something that doesn't lead to a lot. It's better than nothing, right? Like I've done it in the past, and I mean, it's one way to build a portfolio in web design. It's not a great way to build a portfolio in web development. And what I mean by that is a lot of times the freelancing stuff that you're going to get are usually static sites that are like an auto shop website where someone can go and, in best case scenario, enter contact information. Usually it's just a static website with something on there. It's not a sustainable income most of the time. Now, the people who are making good money as contractors and freelancers, these are senior developers and stuff like that. So that would be my advice on that. Although, as somebody who needed the money and was learning web development, I did that. You're better off taking a low-paying internship and working your way up or jumping companies. That's truly the best, the better advice if you can. But it's all relative to what your situation is in. But that's what I would do. I did both. It turned out so. Getting a WAMP server and database going. Yeah, you can try XAMPP also. That's what I use. Is leak code supposed to be so damn hard? This stuff is killing me. Algorithms traditionally are very hard for people. But I also think they're very important for your technical interviews, for you to learn a language, to think like a developer. That's why I spent so much time on code fights. So, I mean, I know leak code is historically supposed to be very difficult, very hard. I could advise to say maybe try out code fights. Although code fights is hard, it might be a little bit easier. And if you're looking for something a little bit easier than that, you might also want to check out. Free Code Camp's algorithms on there. But I mean, most roles will ask you to solve algorithms when you're getting hired. Some will have you solve specific algorithms. Most will be just like problems. Can you learn to be good at algorithms? Practice, man. A lot of it's practice. I know that when I looked for work, when I knew that I was going to start looking for work, I started doing code fights, and I spent about 2 to 3 months, maybe not 3 months, 2 months, to 6 weeks doing algorithms every single day, all in prep for said interviews. And even then I struggled a little bit on some of them. I bombed my interview that I had at Amazon. In all fairness, though, an in-person or like over the phone person interview algorithm is really stressful. And also, it had a regular expression in it. I don't know regular expressions by heart, and I don't plan on learning regular expressions by heart even after this. I refuse to learn it. So, do I understand how they work? Yes. Can I use a regular expression? Yes. Do I know how to write regular expressions? Somewhat, but can I solve an algorithm that requires a very detailed regular expression on the fly? No, I cannot. But yeah. Any embarrassing interview stories? I mean, I got interviewed by Code Fights. They saw that I was knocking out some algorithms, and they said, hey, we'd love to interview you as a potential candidate, and maybe we can get you a job. But we interview all our potential candidates. That's why Code Fights exists, if you don't know. They actually get referral fees, and they try to hire you at companies and whatnot. But yeah, so I said, yeah, that sounds dope. I've been practicing on this side. I have like 90 algorithms done at this point. Anyhow, so they set up a thing. I'm doing it, and it's supposed to be, you're supposed to knock out 3 in an hour. So 20 minutes, 20 minutes, 20 minutes. I didn't finish the first one, and it was really awkward for us for us both. I think I get really nervous on them, but it just was something. It's one of those ones where I couldn't conceptually grab the problem. It was a multiple Sudoku problem, and it was one that I had seen was on Code Fights, and I was deliberately avoiding because I didn't really conceptually understand it. And maybe if I did Sudoku, I might have had a better shot. Will you upload the other 40 algorithms? This is something I've been debating about, and the answer is probably not. At least not on this channel. Mainly because they don't get views, and it's not really good for the channel for things that don't get views. I may start a secondary channel where I upload stuff like that on so people can see it, and I can put it on my like README files on the GitHub and whatnot. But I uploaded like 50 or 60 of the algorithms, and I think altogether they might have gotten like 5,000 views. They're averaging like 100 to 200 views. No one's watching them. So I mean, maybe uploading them as 1 or 2 videos might not be bad. It's something I've thought about. It's also been a little bit, and although I usually comment my code, it would take me a second or two to review it. We'll see. What was the Amazon interview gauntlet like? So, do algorithm for the flat Earth. Bro, why do we need to prove the Earth is flat? We already know the truth. All right. Oh God, don't get me started on these flat Earth people. You're just a sheep, man. You're a sheep that believes that the Earth is round because NASA, man. Shit. 1 second, guys. I get HDMI cable. It's all gonna die. So, or a USB cable. So, flat. I got distracted about flat Earth, man. So the interview with Amazon, I actually have a video about that, and I may release it or not. I have to rewatch it. I'm a little hesitant about releasing interviews with companies, just because a lot of companies don't like you talking about their interview process. But I filmed a series about like a bunch of times that I failed in life, and that's one of the videos. The Amazon interview wasn't too bad. So they actually reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, hey, you seem like an interesting candidate. We'd love for you to interview with us. And I said, that's dope. I never thought the day would come where Amazon would reach out to me. I said, yeah, definitely. I'm nowhere near Seattle, Washington, but I would love to go. And that happened, and I talked with somebody, and they really liked me, and I talked with somebody else, so I had 2 phone calls. They really liked me, and then I had a technical phone interview, and that went okay. And then I had a 4th interview, which involved a little bit of a technical phone and then an algorithm, and that's when I crashed and I burned. I didn't hear. It was pretty evident that it didn't go well, for one, and 2, it was evident that I wasn't vibing with the guy that was on the phone. At least that's how I felt. So if I felt that way, I'm sure he did as well. And I don't know what caused that. I don't know if I wasn't serious enough and he was too serious, because that's what it felt like to me. I don't normally, so Godless Monkey, I don't mind talking about my work, but my work probably wouldn't appreciate me talking about their policies inside and out. So I'm sorry. You're just going to have to let your imagination wander. Yeah, so, I mean, don't get me wrong. I was very proud about the fact that, oh, cool, I'm being interviewed for Amazon. Didn't even think I could get an interview. But I did crash and burn as a learning experience. And it wasn't the end. It sucked in the moment, but it is what it is, right? I'm very happy as of now. I want to make Internet of Things. Should I do free code camp, or is there another source? Honestly, I couldn't tell you. Is being a dev today a job that you are always on the lookout for the next better job? So it sounds like the question, Angel Phineas, what you're answering is, as a developer, are you always looking to jump ship and for that raise? And it's an interesting thing, because I'm at the first company that I really could see. I don't want to say the first. I'm at one of a very few companies that I could see myself staying with for a while. I love the people I work with, and I like the environment and the culture and everything, and it's excellent. It really is. And if it was a pure money thing, and I give this example when this comes up, because so I'm getting paid very well. Let me premise that. But there was a company, a large wealth management company that is in the financial tech world, or financial world, that offered me a role for $15,000 more than I'm actually making now. Not everything being equal, but we're just talking about the money, right? And I turned it down because I liked this environment better. And so a lot of people will take money over happiness. And $15,000 is a significant amount of money. It's a mortgage payment for a lot of people. But oftentimes, people will jump jobs for $5,000 or whatever it is, $10,000. And there's kind of a limit to how many times you can do that. As a young man, I probably could do that as right now. But it is something that people do, and there's nothing wrong with that in my opinion, but you have to understand at some point you're probably going to want to move up. My goal right now is to be the best developer I could be, and that will make me more money in the process. And one of my goals is to be promoted. I've never been promoted at a job, and that is a goal of mine. So I'm working hard to one day get to a point where I can do that, and that I'm going to strive to accomplish that. But there is something to be said about jumping jobs, because statistically speaking, you probably will make more money. my advice is you usually should spend about 1 year at a job. So 1 year at a job, and see what sort of raise you get, see what sort of promotion you may or may not get, and if it's not what you want, and you can get at least $10,000 more. 10,000 is kind of the base jump ship. Assuming you're not happy at where you're at, you should definitely start looking. That's my advice. If you're not happy where you're at and you can get $10,000 more, jump ship. I don't know if that answers your question, but that's kind of my take on it. So Jacob says, I'm having an easy time getting through algorithms, understanding the computer logic, but I'm having a hard time figuring out how things that should be simple to work, like my text editor. Any tips? You're having trouble understanding your text editor? I don't know. What do I think of AWS? I don't know enough about it, but it seems that it's being used by quite a few people. So yeah, I mean, a lot of times people are jumping ship for a couple thousand more dollars, or I don't begrudge anyone jumping ship for more money. I think it's perfectly fine. But if it's not for more money, I don't understand it. And if it is for more money, but you're happy at where you're at, I think you can have a conversation with your current work and say, hey, if you have a good relationship with your manager, be like, look, man, or ma'am, I can get $20,000 more on the street. I think we should negotiate my contract. It's a hard conversation to have. It's an uncomfortable conversation to have. But you drop the seed, and maybe it happens, maybe it doesn't, maybe 3 months from there it does. But if it doesn't happen, you can go and say something like, hey, it's time to Like I'll give you a perfect example. When I started as a technology trainer, technical writer, at my 2 jobs ago, when I took the role, during the interview process, in-person interview, I said this sounds like a role I'd be perfect for, and I was. If I'm going to take this role, I really am looking to move into a dev position. So I told them that. 20 minutes after I got done the interview, they called. They made me an offer, and I accepted. And I loved working there. But after about 6 months of the job, I did not enjoy the job anymore, because my passion was in writing code. That was what I was doing. And over that process, for the last month, from month 5 to 6, I was really, really not liking my job. Not because of any people, not because of a bad work environment, not because of compensation, although I didn't make a lot of money. It was because it wasn't what I wanted to be doing. So it took me a month to gain the courage to go talk to my boss, who isn't he's not unfriendly, he's a very friendly guy, but as you might imagine, in tech and software, sometimes people are very awkward, and it's hard to have those awkward conversations. So I took me a month to gain the courage to go talk to him. I did. I said, look, this isn't what I want to be doing. I want to be going in the front end, or QA, or wherever I can go. And he said that we'd work something out, and all that sort of stuff. And anyhow, so fast forward 3 months later, I leave for a developer role. He was upset not at me, but because he wanted to keep me. But unfortunately, things didn't move fast enough for me, which gave me a clear conscience of leaving. But well, I guess why I bring that up is I try to tell you advice for things that I have done. A lot of times people will give you advice for shit that they have no business giving you advice. So I don't necessarily want to give you advice. I tell you what I have done, I guess is what I'm trying to say. What questions were you asked on your first interview as a developer? I had so many interviews, but a lot of it was JavaScript questions, right? So you have kind of two, when it comes to, every job interview is different, but when it comes to your role, you'll be asked, usually you'll have a technical phone call where they'll ask you some questions about whatever it is that you're interviewing for and just kind of get a feel from you. Oftentimes, if you did well, they'll call you back and say, all right, come in for the in-person algorithm challenge, or we're going to send you an algorithm challenge, and you'll do that. But it really just depends, man, what sort of role you're going for. Hello, Sam Easy. What's going on, Kevin? I'm trying to think of any specific questions when I first got interviewed. I know that they were very intrigued by my passion for developing, and I almost want to say like they wanted to see if I was full of shit or not. Because it's like, if you looked at my resume at that time, I didn't have a ton of experience because it was my first dev job, right? I'm going from a technical writer essentially into a dev role. And on there, I have volunteer experience with code.org. I have projects I've built. I have hackathons I've gone to. I have my YouTube channel. And so a lot of my conversation during the technical phone calls was about that, to find out what type of developer I am and if I'm actually interested in this stuff or not. I'm a fucking sexy beast. I know, baby. What's going on? Will being a Freemason help me in web dev or any other organization? I have no idea. I couldn't even tell you what a Freemason is or does. When did I start coding? Probably around 25. I mean, I played around a little bit with HTML, CSS. How's the new job? I love it, man. I absolutely love it. The Freemasons are like a Lions or Rotary Club. So they're kind of a club, organization of some stuff. I would say that it might help if someone in there is in the Freemason guild or club, and they can kind of talk to you about that, because a lot of it, half the job is knowing technical specifics, and the other half is, can we work with this person, and how is their communication? And when you can connect on something, it allows you to have good communication skills, and then things go a lot more smoothly. Steve Wozniak is a Freemason? Who knew? Maybe I gotta get on this Freemason hype, man. But yeah, I mean, organizations in general aren't bad to have on there. I put on my LinkedIn how I was a member of the Association of Computing Machinery, ACM. Yeah. Have I ever seen someone get fired for being a shitty developer? I haven't seen someone get fired, but a lot of contract employees that are there for a year and their contract was assumed, or 6 months, and it was pretty much presumed that they were going to renew the contract. They don't, because they don't mesh well with the team, or their work isn't very good, And so I've seen quite a few things like that in the past happen where they're not getting the value, or they're causing issues, or it's just not a right fit for whatever reason. A lot of this, guys, is you have to be able to work with your team. And sometimes some developers aren't team players. And if you're on a 6-month or year contract, even if it's a 5-year project, they'll let you go and they'll get someone else in there. So I've seen a lot of that. I would say that I haven't seen like salaried, like a lot of times companies will also do contract to hire, man. So you'll I know a lot of roles I interviewed with would do contract to hire, and sometimes they'll change it up if they like you. And the role that I originally interviewed with was contract to hire, and they offered me a salaried role. But a lot of places will do contract to hire in hopes to just basically try you out. Say, hey, let's give this guy a 6-month contract, and if it works out, we'll give him a job. If not, we got 6 months, and really you only got 3 months because it took him 3 months to get up to date. So, how good am I at the maths? I'm pretty good at the maths. Really, for most, at least web development, most of the time you just need to have good algebra skills. You need to be able to understand how to multiply, divide, work with fractions, follow equations if you have to write some. You know, I've had, even though I didn't graduate, I did take 3 calculus courses, a discrete mathematics course, trigonometry course, geometry course, algebra course, not to mention all the maths you do in high school and community college and stuff like that. So, and physics and all that jazz. One of the reasons I hated the computer science program, to be honest with you, but I did take them and I did pass them. But for the most part, you just have to be good at algebra, and it's not too hard. Am I worried about jobs getting outsourced to India? I am not. So a lot of companies want to have in-house devs so that they can build a team and they can do these small things to build out their product. Now, that doesn't mean that some jobs aren't going to be outsourced. Of course it is. But I'm not worried about it in the slightest, to be honest with you. Have I looked into Upwork.com? Upwork.com wouldn't pay me enough for the most part. So a lot of times you're competing with people in countries where the cost of living is significantly less. Maybe they're charging $10 an hour, or $20 an hour, or $30 an hour, which would be less than I make hourly. And that would mean that I'm not going to... So if I'm going to be working outside of work, and I have no problem doing that, I did that recently for a premium at $90 an hour. If I'm going to be doing work outside of work, probably on the low end, I want to get paid twice my hourly rate to 3 times my hourly rate, unless it's an easy project. So maybe twice to 2.5. So that's what I charge for my mentoring and things like that. And if I were to go work for Upwork.com, I probably would be lucky to get my hourly rate as a developer. There is this one guy who is my new hire group who sucks at coding, has managed a group of people and his team to pair program with him and basically do work without realizing it. I can tell you, I don't think anybody would mind me sharing this, but I can tell you that a hiring manager and a technical lead that I have worked with in the past told me that of 100 interviews, about 95 don't work out for junior roles, and of that, the 95 can't write a basic for loop problem. Like if I had to say, hey, I want you to start at 0 and print out every number divisible by 5 up to a number. Write that function. And that about 9 out of 10 people that got interviewed for the role who had prior development experience also, most of the time, couldn't solve that in a whiteboard interview process. And I guess the reason I bring that up is there are people sometimes who slip through the cracks who get so accustomed to using like jQuery or AngularJS but really can't write any code right that they can write an ng for loop or ng repeat, but they don't know how to write a for loop. And that's sometimes people get so desperate that they let those people get through the cracks, I guess. How hard is it to get a CS degree? I wasn't the best in high school and not the best at math. Right now I'm in the Marine Corps, so I'll be out in like 6 months. Never done coding before. The coding isn't really going to be the hard part for you. I mean, it will be at first, but a CS degree is ranked like the 2nd or 3rd hardest degree to get. It's a lot of math. It's a lot of science. So it's hard. It's as far as degrees go, it's harder than the average for sure. Should I get a degree in computer science? Yes. It's probably one of the best, if not the first or second best degree you can get. Is it true that there are CS graduates that come out of college that can't code to save their own life? Yes. It's 100% true. Do you have a six-pack? Not for about 6 years. Who the fuck applies for a dev without knowing how to do for loops? People do. So that's how that goes. But I mean, these are, and I'm not talking about like people who are just straight out of boot camps or college degrees. I'm talking about people who sometimes are coming from QA and they just don't write code outside of work. And so you throw them in a situation where you give them a basic algorithm that involves basically you just iterating through a for loop and adding a number together, which is a very fair thing to get, and they can't do it. So I tell people practice those algorithms, man. What's your opinion on places like Team Treehouse? I think it provides a lot of value for a very low amount of money, but I also think that you'd probably be better served just spending $40 a month on Udemy for 2 courses that you actually want. Do I consume any nootropics? I do. I take 2 right now. I just ran out of it. Focus Factor, which is a brain vitamin pill. You can pick it up at Costco a lot of times in a 2-pack for like $20, and it'll last you like 6 months. And I take Focus Plus, which is a stimulant. It's kind of like a caffeine pill in a bottle, and that I used to take that a lot more. It's really bad for you. I don't recommend it, but I do take it on occasion when I want to put in work. I'm a kid, I have a 6-pack. Look, man, when I was a kid, I had a 6-pack all my life until about 6 years ago. You ain't got no fat on you when you're a kid. You got a metabolism, man. I'm turning 30, bro. 30 and a 6-pack? Get out of here. I'm being such a traditional developer. It's disgusting, man. I put on 10 pounds in my first year as a developer. I look cute tonight? Hey, man. Every night. McRonald83. Trying to make them brain gains. I do not take Adderall, no. That's right, Ricky. Ricky and I are going to collab on some stuff. So if you guys aren't a subscriber of Ricky Garcia yet, I like Ricky a lot. He's trying to grow his channel. He's in the grind, man. So for anybody watching, go ahead and drop our boy Ricky a like. Show him some love. Show him some support. We're working on a collab together. It's going to be the new hotness. It's going to be taking over the coding game. Go keto? I'm not like overweight by any scales, sense of the imagination, guys. I weigh 180 pounds. I'm 6 feet tall. It's just I don't have a six-pack, and I don't work out right now. I have a gym in the house that I haven't used, and part of it is I spend so much time working on YouTube and studying that I never get to the gym stuff. It's something that I actually want to change. How much should I invest in Bitcoin? I'm a newbie. You should invest whatever you can afford to lose, is usually what I say. Bitcoin is expensive. I have put in about $3,500 into Bitcoin. Do you think there's a reverse correlation in being fit and being a great web developer? No, I don't think there's any correlation. I think, if anything, if you were fit, you would be a great developer, because there's been correlations with fitness and your body being healthier and your mind being healthier because of it. I just think that you're sitting down at a desk most days, and most of your hobbies probably include gaming, include the PC, that it's just natural. That's it. I just think you get comfortable. How do I personally structure learning for my learning when learning a new language? I'll usually watch a YouTube video or two on it, build a project in it if I feel ready. If there's an interactive course on Free Code Camp or Codecademy, I'll do that. If there's not, I'll go and I'll do a course in said project on Udemy. But it's really just kind of getting an introduction on YouTube, seeing somebody who works with it say, hey, this is what 90% of what you're going to be doing in this language, expose you to the big gist of it. If there's a project that I think I can build in it, I will. If I don't feel quite ready, I'll go buy a Udemy course, or I'll go watch other videos on it. If I know HTML, CSS, JavaScript, Express, SQLite, React, Redux, do you think I can hold a junior developer position? Yeah. Yeah, Bitcoin reached 6K today. My Bitcoin's looking great, man. Do I play CSGO? No, I don't really play too many games, guys. Although I did buy a Super Nintendo Classic. And up until recently, I was putting a little bit of work in on Super Mario RPG. Hit baskets for under water basket. Am I doing a live stream tomorrow too or not? Yeah, I'll do one, man. I promise to do my Saturday weeklies, and this one is for 28K. This is just the essential oil diffuser, guys. Hey, buddy. And the Milo. Milo likes it too. The other cats don't like it. Milo's all about that essential oil life. What's up, buddy? This is a hot tip. You need at least 3 cats to be an excellent developer. Every cat will multiply how good of a developer you become. This is a true fact, guys. Huh. Ow. Your wife has one of the oil diffusers? Yeah, I love it. Do I ever come up with great ideas for apps at the most random times? Yeah, man. As someone who's very passionate about software, a lot of times you have business ideas or projects that you want to start. Sometimes you start them, sometimes you don't. It just kind of depends. With April being a good idea, with April being unemployed, would it be a good idea for her to start her own YouTube channel to go over that project manager course? It wouldn't be a bad idea. I I think her main priority would be perhaps to land a role, and maybe in between filling out apps and studying, doing something like that. I'm not opposed to that. Not everybody wants to be on camera. It took me a long while to be comfortable to be on camera, and be able to speak my opinion and talk, and you know, it's really uncomfortable for most people, I would say. It's a little less so than it used to be, but I do think most people don't want to be on camera and aren't okay opening themselves up a little bit to the world. Whether that's a strange way of putting that or not, I couldn't tell you, but that's kind of what I think. And I say that as somebody who really didn't really, I mean, I had myself on camera basically narrating my code, but not for a very long time did I ever, like, I think like a year and a half in did I start doing videos like these and talking and giving my opinion about things and advice about things and talking about things in my life. And not everybody's okay with that. And so, although I don't think it'd be a bad idea for her to have like a project manager channel, I think it'd probably be a great idea. I don't think that's something that's in the cards for her necessarily. How many projects did I have in your portfolio in order and before I got a job? I think I had 6 on there. I would say, although a large quantity of projects is never a bad thing, quality is better than quantity. What's your opinion on an app that lets you time-lapse fitness progress pictures? I would say that you should remove the fitness progress part and instead create an app that focuses on time-lapse pictures of anything and then allow people to decide if they want it to be fitness. Now, you can market it with one of the examples being fitness, but I think what you're doing is you're making it too specific, and instead you should structure an app that allows people to create their own time lapses, and I think you'll be able to gain a larger audience if you do something like that. Do I get recognized on the streets? I don't get recognized on the streets. I've got recognized a couple times at like coding meetups, but that's about it. It doesn't happen too often. I've seen so many YouTubers drop or semi-leave their channels. I don't know if they think it's worth it anymore. Well, it kind of depends, right? So a lot of YouTubers do YouTube full time. I am not in a financial situation where I could do that, so it's taken that out of the cards. But I could tell you that I've had 4 videos demonetized, and I have a pretty PG channel, right? Like, we're talking about software, education, technology, coding, JavaScript. It's hard to find stuff in there that isn't like very politically correct or age appropriate for most people. I mean, occasionally I'll drop an F-bomb here or there, and I get a little hyped, and maybe I'll make a little bit of a grotesque comment. But 99% of what I put out there, I'm okay with, and is very acceptable to talk about. So for these channels that are much larger, that said, hey, you know what, I think I'm okay to do this full time, and they were making enough money to do it full time, I can understand where their frustration would come. Maybe they have to go work a job again. For me personally, this is part of my career. There's something to be said about personal branding in software and being able to get your message out there. And I don't make enough money from software from YouTube to ever do this full time right now. It's more of a passion project. I mean, I do make a little bit of money, but I could understand why some people are leaving if totally just got screwed over and they put all their eggs in the YouTube basket. Can we see those projects sometime in the future? Most of the projects you guys have seen, man. Most of them are like the free code camp projects or the hackathon project or my website. So. And I mean, so part of the reason Kevin in here is saying one video can ruin a career, it's very true. I try and never do controversial topics. I've done maybe 2. One was about the Google engineer. Another was about the Coding Babes channel. Both of which got demonetized, by the way. So I try to stay away from controversial topics. Every time I put out a video, I actually watch it one time after, like the day before it goes out. I watch it and I make sure, like, do I want to put this out into the world? Because there are consequences for throwing a video out, right? There are consequences for me saying, voicing my opinion outside of work because I am an employee and how that can affect me. So that's part of the reason that I can't, you know, share my opinion on certain topics, or I can't dive into things as hard as I want to, or be as brutally honest to certain things. And I'm okay with that. I accept that's the reality of the world. Some people would say that's censorship, and some people would say that's just smart and make sure you're employed. And that's that's kind of what I'm doing. But there's a fine line to be said. I'm 50. Is it going to be hard for me to get work as a dev? I'm almost done with free code camp. It's just going to be hard in general to get work as a dev, but there are benefits and downsides of being young and being old. I would say that as someone who is just getting their career started at 50, you're probably going to be competing against other people. Just make sure you're good and make sure that you're hardworking, honest, and you're going to show up on time, and you're studying every day, you're showing you're passionate about it. You know, there are benefits to being older. A lot of times people understand that you are making a career change and you're putting everything you have into this, and that you aren't going to be going to the club on a Tuesday coming in hungover, right? So there are benefits to everything. Are the Coinbase rumors true? What Coinbase rumors? Oh. Am I on Vimeo or Steemit? No, I'm not. Do they demonetize for cursing now? I don't think so. Do I plan on making an assignment tutorial? It's been so long since I've done that project. I don't know. Will I ever grow a man bun? No. Not because I have anything against man buns, but because look how long it would take. And I just, as much as I've wanted to grow a beard, even though it'd be a bad beard, it just gets too itchy. And as much as I would want to have a man bun, it just gets too hot. I found the Simon project to be harder, only because the concepts of set interval was harder for me to conceptually grasp, as well as how to play audio. There's just a lot more interactive aspects of the Simon game that made it a little bit harder to drink. Would you rather drink Bud Light or Coors Light? I'd rather probably drink a Sapporo, but if I had to choose, I don't care. They're both whatever. What do you think about the value that Udemy certifications hold while actually going for a job? I think the value is in you. I don't have any problem with people putting it on their resume, but I think you're going to need to be able to speak to their quality and showcase what they've taught you, right? So you're saying, so if I see on here that you have an Angular 4 course, I see on here that you have a jQuery course, I see on here you have a React course, and they ask you about that, in that moment you have 30 to 60 seconds to sell those things so hard. Talk about the algorithms you did, the 4 projects you did for each, what you built after you did that, how it taught you the language, what you've done with it since. You really have to sell those sorts of things. But I think when they're better than nothing, so I don't have a problem with it. But it's up to you to sell it. How's the dev loot crate thing working out? This is something I've been very struggling with, David, because I want to do it. I think it would do very well, but the issue I'm having is figuring out about shipping. So I've kind of put it on hold, but it's something I keep coming back to in the back of my head, and I want to do it. So I think what's going to happen, David, is when April and I buy our house, and we kind of get settled, whenever that is, I think that might be when I feel comfortable pulling the trigger on it and be like, look, I'm just diving all in on this idea. Because right now it's like, do I start this side business, which may or may not be a success, or do I go buy a duplex? And I'm going, for the first time in my life, I'm going with the safer route. And it's strange because all my success in life in recent times have come from going a non-traditional sort of unsafe route and being okay with educated risk. And I'm kind of doing the opposite. So is it important to anticipate the next big framework or language? No. You just got to be able to adjust if needed. That's the good part about it, Crusader Rabbits. Have a good one, Paval Sharma. How often do I use Vanilla.js? Not too often. I do on occasion. I mean, so the thing about this is the thing about vanilla JavaScript. So I write in Angular 4, guys. 90 point. So I'm laying down. I'm getting tired. 99% of the time. Now, what that allows you to do, I mean, you're writing JavaScript, right? I usually am writing TypeScript, but so what you're asking is how often do you do DOM manipulation in vanilla JavaScript? And when you're using something like Angular 4, you have no business to do it. There's no situation almost that you would ever need to do that. So it's very rare, at least so I've seen it, you know. What do you think your biggest hurdle from starting a business is for you? Is financial capital. A lot of the businesses I want to start, the dev loot crate box, the dev store, these are things that require a lot of financial capital to get started. Should I start coding in Linux environment and just stay in Windows? Honestly, I don't think it matters too much. Most of the people I work with use Macs. I use Windows. I would say it's about half, actually. Everyone is talking about Vue.js right now. Yeah, a lot of people are talking about Vue. A lot of people are always talking about stuff, but it doesn't necessarily mean that it's going to be good long term, and it doesn't have the jobs that Angular or React does. Have I contributed to open source? Sort of. I report bugs and I comment on things. I make requests for features on things that I think should be existing. I don't ever submit pull requests or anything like that and fix things. I just don't have the time, man. I would consider, some people might disagree, but I would consider a YouTube channel open source, right? Because you're basically doing it for free at the end of the day. But it's kind of like open source video, right? You're submitting all this content for free and going from there. So, all right, I'm gonna hop in the massage chair real quick, and then we're gonna wrap this up in a few. Why did you decide to learn how to code and why not something else? When did you figure out this is something you were good at and a good career choice for you? So when I started to learn how to code, it's purely out of a, hey, this is a good career to get into, and I want to make good money. I want to make sure I'm able to have jobs, and just turned out that I absolutely loved it. Now I hated how I was learning through school and everything like that, but the actual aspect of when on the very few times that we could actually write code, I absolutely loved it. How much caffeine do I consume a day? Not too much. I've recently started drinking Monsters again, but today is my last day. I'm dropping them. I kind of got off the bandwagon a little bit, so I gave up energy drinks for about 6 months, and I started drinking in the last month. But usually I don't drink too much. I have an espresso in the morning with April, and that's usually it. I'll drink some black tea, but I recently started drinking Monster again. How's the phone for YouTube Live? It's not too bad. Yeah, I mean, I didn't really code till I was in college. But I mean, as a child, I built like HTML and CSS websites and things like that. Nothing too complex. I have a video about it, talking about the first time my very first website got shut down. So you guys can go see how cringy I was in middle school or elementary school or whatever it was. Hey, Milo. So Milo likes to jump up when you sit down in the massage chair because he knows you're not getting up for a while. Buddy? What are you doing? You saying hi? Saying hi to the YouTubes? But yeah, so I mean, it's yeah, so YouTube Live isn't bad. It has a chat on the screen, and you can see like super chats and all that. And would you say that the front end cert on Free Code Camp is enough to land a job? It's hard to put one thing. It's hard to put one thing as enough, right? You need to be an interesting candidate. You need to be doing 10 other things other than the Free Code Camp cert, right? You need to be doing Code Academy. You need to be building your own projects. You need to be building a portfolio site. You need to have a LinkedIn. You need to have a nice resume. You need to be volunteering. You need to have side projects. I can say that I personally landed a role before finishing the front end cert, but I also taught myself AngularJS. I built my portfolio site. I had a hackathon project. I was volunteering. It's one of those things that you gotta go in each different direction, especially when getting started. I got muted. What? All right, can you hear me now? My bad. I was dropping some knowledge too, y'all. I hope you guys can hear the read the subtitles, because I'm not repeating that shit. So, but yeah, so, but yeah, my thing is, what I'm trying to say is, not only, as Ricky put it, diversify your skills, but also diversify your learning resources, because you're going to be people. I'll give you a perfect example. I will teach you what I know and what I believe is important, right? Let's say we're talking about JavaScript. Now, regardless of experience, there may be things that other JavaScript takes advantage of or find more important. So that's why when you're learning a language, you need to learn from multiple sources, because there will be overlap, and that will reinforce it. But you also are going to have other things that maybe you didn't know existed. I found out today that console.debug was a thing. I didn't know that was a thing. So, which is strange. So listen to this. I have never even looked up anything besides console log. It never even occurred to me what else might be going on in the console. So Do you feel that going full stack is a must these days, or can someone still find work as just a front-end developer, just a back-end developer? I think being a full stack developer is probably the best route in terms of getting hired, because there's going to be more jobs, especially for junior roles. You will find out that as you move to larger teams, you will become a specialist. I am now pretty much only doing front-end, so I am hired as a junior front-end engineer or front-end developer, but yeah, so it's just something to consider in that aspect. What are you doing, Milo? Cool critter. Oh yeah. Sachin Bahandali. Welcome, my friend. I probably butchered that, but I tried. How long were you coding before you got your first dev job? That's an interesting question, because I would go entire semesters without writing code in college, and so you have this situation of, I had 3 years of college under the belt, but I wasn't coding for all 3 years, but I did code at times in those 3 years. But I really felt that that if I had to say how long, if I had to give an idea, I would say I was probably coding realistically for a year straight before I landed my first role. A year and a half, but I had coded before that in college, right? So, and the reason I say that is because I wasn't coding daily, I wasn't working on my own side projects, and I really think the thing that made me become a developer was coding every day and doing every free tutorial I could get my hands on with Codecademy and Free Code Camp. And that was very beneficial. But you could make the argument that I had been coding in college 3 years prior. So, on my first day, Thomas Rochelle, how's it going, by the way? How nervous were you on your first day? I was disgustingly nervous. Ooh, I have a second cat now. Hey, Tito. Oh, bye, Tito. There's not enough lap up here to go around. But I would say that on my first day, mind you, also my first developer job, I drove across country in 3 days. Did about 38 hours of driving, I think it was, from Los Angeles to Tampa, and I had a 2-day break. So I arrived here Friday night in shambles. I slept Saturday, Sunday, and Monday I went into work. And so I was completely burnt out from the drive and stressed out, and I was really nervous because I did not have time to study, because I was moving and I was packing up and doing all this sort of stuff, so I was pretty nervous, to be honest with you. Do you use scratch paper when you try to figure out an algorithm? I usually use a whiteboard if I need to. I try to, if I'm really struggling, I'll use one of my whiteboards. If not, I will just keep on hacking away in the text editor, and then sometimes I'll take a break, walk away after 30 minutes, and try to think about it differently. Yeah, I think one of the best things that you could do, Ricky, for your career and for you as a developer, is just build your own stuff, man. Do you still feel any insecurities about being a developer? I've been practicing algorithms and Free Code Camp, and code fights and the insecurities are real as fuck. I would say that I don't. Part of that comes from a very recent realization of how hireable I am. And what I mean, I don't mean that in like a cocky sense, but I mean that in a sense that there are people who want to give me jobs. And that has been one of the idea. If I were to get laid off from my job, and I'm not going to, I don't think, but where's some wood to knock on, right? But when I accepted my job, I had other jobs in writing that made me offers, and that idea, and the fact that I've had companies reach out to me like Amazon who wanted to interview me for a role and stuff like that. I'm not the best developer, but I am a developer that can't get a job, I guess. And I'm trying to become the best developer, right? That I can. But my insecurities had always stemmed from not being able to get a job as a developer. And recently, with landing a second role and with getting other offers, I would say that I feel less worried about that than I ever have before. I also worked very hard for a very long time to become a better developer than I am every day, right? So, although I don't code outside of work for the last, I did some contract work, but I don't code like I used to. Most of my free time have gone into social media projects, right? More coding media related projects, building the dev course, the YouTube channel, podcasts, that I've actually kind of missed starting up a coding side project, like a hard coding side project where all I'm doing is coding. And that's something that I'm kind of looking into right now, actually. So, Amazon is I've seen scary good programmers with 5 years experience have lifestyles I don't want to have. A lot of times I would take a job at a company like Amazon for a year if it was bad. I'll be honest, man, you'll get me for about 50 hours a week at most on an average, probably closer to 40. And then when you want me to put more hours in, I have no problem on occasion. But the companies that think that they're going to work you 60 hours a week, not this developer. I got side projects. I have a YouTube channel I'm trying to do. We ain't just got time. We don't have time for that. But if it was to get like a major company like Amazon on the resume, I would be okay with it for about a year. And then I would just go leave to work at some other company. How do you know where to start when working a problem? I'm working through the free code camp curriculum. I find it hard to figure out your first step. I think, Sal, you need to probably understand the basics a little bit. Understand what tools you have. Understand Boolean logic. Understand for loops. Hey, buddy. Understand all the array methods and the string methods that are there, and understand how you can chain them together. And try to see if you can visualize these things and draw them out. Whiteboarding is a great way to get started with that. Where's the best place to live for a developer? A recent survey I saw said Seattle, Washington. But I think you should worry less about where you're working as a developer, get some experience, and then move to wherever you want to go. Seattle is almost as expensive as SF. Maybe. I'm just telling you what the jobs per capita, the actual salary was the best in the country for based off this survey I saw. Conor McGregor or Tony Ferguson? I know you're a UFC fan. I'll be halfway surprised if he actually fights Tony Ferguson. But my money is on Tony Ferguson. I just think Tony has incredible cardio, and he's going to, unless he gets knocked out in the first round, he's going to probably just grind out Conor McGregor towards the end of the second into the third. But I just don't see McGregor lasting 5 rounds. Maybe his cardio is much better after boxing and working on his cardio for that whole time, but I don't know. I just see Tony Ferguson coming out the victor. Although Tony always gets like, if you watch half of Tony's last wins, he always seems to just get his head knocked off the floor, man. And so it's completely probable that Tony Ferguson could get knocked out. I just don't like ever betting money on, oh, it's going to be a knockout. The knockout guy has to win by knockout or the other guy wins, right? So you're basically saying that this guy has to mess up and allow me to knock out. If Tony just doesn't put himself in that position, he should be able to put in his game plan. I think he will. Did I watch the old UFC tapes when it was a tournament? Just highlights. I've never actually gone and watched the old tapes. Yeah, I don't know. I've never. I mean, it's fun to go and look at history a lot of times, but sometimes you see things that are like, this is actually completely different than what I love, which is the UFC. So for those of you who know, this is probably my only cool hobbies is I watch MMA news every day. If there's a YouTube channel that I could recommend for MMA, it's MMA news. It's like a yellow icon. It's amazing. They don't have like a host. It's all music and text oriented and highlight oriented, and they come out with a video or 2 a day. But yeah, so I watch UFC. MMA is my only cool hobby. Have I ever thought about how Super Nintendo games were programmed asking for a friend? I have not thought about it. Probably pretty fun. Shout out to our boy Johnny, who's killing it at Dev Mountain right now. What about Jiren versus Goku? Yo, man, Goku got worked in the special, right? So we'll see what happens. But yeah, so one of my less cool hobbies is anime. But I don't know, man. So the tournament power has been fun, but I don't know how I'm liking this arc. I'm hoping something else is going to happen. Like there's going to be something change. Do I have braces? Yes. For about 3 more months, then they come off. But I say that Goku always comes out on top because that's the way they like it. I'm secretly a Vegeta fan. Not secretly, but I'm secretly hoping that Goku gets knocked out of the tournament and that Vegeta has a new form and just beasts the tournament. That's what I'm hoping. I know I'm living in a fantasy realm because Vegeta always gets shitted on in Dragon Ball, but as a Vegeta fan, I'm just hoping like that this is the arc where Vegeta's just the guy that saves the day, and that's what I want. I want Vegeta to get his moment where he's just like, yo, I got this. Don't worry about it. He's got the trump card, man. That's what I want. I want it to happen so bad. We all know it's not gonna happen, man. Vegeta doesn't ever get any love in Dragon Ball. But that's what I want, man. I've been waiting for 30 years for Vegeta to get some love. All right, guys. Last few questions. I'm gonna wrap this up in about 5 minutes. How do you find such figure out your best way to study and retain information besides repetition? I think building projects is the best way, because oftentimes you have to problem solve and you discover things along the way that really stick. I don't watch Joe's channel, Johnny. Do not. Thoughts on the Nintendo Switch? I think it's cool that you can take it on the go. I don't play too many games, but I did just get the Super Nintendo Classic, and I love it because it's like a slice of my childhood. DC or Marvel? I think this is a flawed question because I think both are great, and I think as somebody who grew up watching shows like X-Men and watching like old shitty Hulk movies and stuff like that, that it is just a great time. And if you like Marvel films, you should probably like DC films. If you like DC films, you should probably like Marvel films. Do you find a lot of programmers like anime? I would say compared to the average person, probably there are more programmers that watch anime than not. Also depends on the age, right? You don't like Joe because he lied about Udemy being the reasons he got his work. He only started pimping them when he learned he could make a little dough. Well. Hey, Andrew. Well, thanks for joining, man. Any idea when Free Code Camp will upload the beta? I checked their backlog. They're cleaning out their backlog, and I think they're getting close, man. I have no idea though. I haven't talked with Quincy in a while. I should probably interview him again. It's been a while. I like talking to Quincy. I would love to be working on a project with him at some point. He's a very interesting dude. And I think that I could learn a lot just by working with a guy like him. And so it's, I don't know, it's interesting. Yes, I am familiar with Elon Musk and his rocket stuff, and how he's gonna send us all to Mars. Hey man, do you see Bitcoin broke 6K today? Fork coming up though. I'm not too worried about the fork and the 6K. Yeah, man, that's good stuff, right? How do I feel about augmented reality? I've played around with the. I've had the opportunity to use the Microsoft. I forget what the headset is called, but I've played with it. It's cool, man. It's really, I like it much better than virtual reality. Too bad it's like $3,500 for the beta kit. Josh Blockade, although I don't mind answering questions like this, this goes kind of against my policy of answering questions that might be a little too racy, and too. A game like Fuck, Marry, Kill isn't really something somebody should say as an employee of another company. So I'll just leave it at that. Have I seen Jesse live code? I watched 1 or 2 React videos while I was doing it. That guy's been going on for like 6 months. What is going on, man? Jesse isn't running out of shit to teach yet. But that was one of the things I talked about in the top 5 channels you should follow, is that they do these great tutorial series, and part of it is you can get these people who are specialized in various topics and languages, and they can just deep dive forever in it. But yeah, he's killing it. $28K under 1K view. So aren't you the positive friend, aren't you? Live the cam angle. Hey, who remembers these angles from MySpace? The trolls are coming. I just don't understand. So this is the thing about trolls. I don't understand how many kilos on the bar. I don't know what that means. I just don't understand the motivation of people trying to put other people down. It's unfortunate. I think a lot of people would. Oh, on that bar? Oh, there's only 20 on there, but the bar probably weighs 10, so it's about 30 pounds. Nothing crazy. I'll show you guys the gym real quick, but I would say this to people who are a little bit on the negative side. I think you'll get a lot more happiness in your life if you just kind of focus on maybe just pause a little bit. So we got the little weight set here and a little thing there. Nothing crazy. Like I've been negative at points in my life, and I found that it doesn't really work. So thank you, Endgame Operator. You have a nice night. I think I'm going to okay, I'll answer this. I'll answer this this one question for VLS, and I'm gonna call it a night because we've been going an hour and a half, and it's 10:30, which is way past my bedtime. VLS said, "What is your opinion on Chris Sean's channel basically turning in some kind of relationship heartbreak channel?" This is a strange thing because I don't want to kick a man when he's down. So I watched recently a video about Chris Sean breaking up, and it was it seems like every video I catch of his, and I don't watch many. I was a fan when I interviewed him, and he was talking about development, and now it's not so much, and it's not really what I watched. But I watched the video. I watched the most recent, or one of the last or second video, about half of it, but I found it too uncomfortable to continue watching about his breakup, even though that's what the video is about. I clicked it because that's what it's about, but then I felt so uncomfortable watching it. But I would say I probably watched a video 2 or 3 months before that, and usually it's always the sad topics I tune in for, and then they make me uncomfortable and I leave. And it just seems, I don't know, but it's a vlogging channel, so I don't have an issue, like from a very outside perspective. I don't have an issue with a vlogging channel vlogging about what's going on in his life. And I think that's okay. As a viewer, I haven't liked his content hasn't been relatable to me, I should say, for quite some time. But I do watch whenever there are sad videos, I guess. I want to say there was a family death or something along that line was the video I watched before. And, but this most recent video was just, I don't know, I just felt uncomfortable. And, I don't know, here's the thing, if April and I broke up, you better believe I probably would be putting some heartbroken ass video on the internet. Just like, please take me back. Yeah, I don't know, man, because I know for a fact that I'm capable of doing the same thing. Mine would just be not as well edited. And I would just throw it out there, and I don't know, I'd probably take it down a few days later or something. But if he has multiple videos talking about his breakup, and so here's the thing, I don't watch his channel enough to know the context of all this, but I watched up to a point where he said, this is the final time we're breaking up, this is for real. And there's definitely, if he's throwing out a video if he's doing like the high school thing where you break up, you get back together, you break up, you get back together, you break up, you get back together, you break up, you get back. If he's doing that, that would really kind of not be something that I'm I wouldn't appreciate. I totally understand you're heartbroken if something happens. He deleted his chat. Sorry, I'm catching up on chat right now. He deleted his channel? Chris Sean got rid of his channel? Is that accurate? Because I watched this video. I want to say I watched it like this morning or yesterday morning. That's unfortunate. I mean, I didn't like the video, but I didn't think it was enough to delete the channel. I don't know. I do find that I think someone nailed it about the Oprah effect a little bit too much in his channel. That was part of the stuff. What's the dislike ratio? I think it was like a 90% positive, 10% dislike when I looked at it. He gets good views on his stuff, and so people are watching. He has a smaller subscriber base than me, but gets better views than me most of the time. He's doing very well. I personally, I think it might be a maturity thing. I don't know how old Chris is, but for me, I felt like he was in terms of maturity, just a younger guy who's still trying to figure out to go that level of maturity, and it was hard for me to relate to him. I just assumed he's 30? No, he's not. No, he's not. I thought he was like 21. He's not 30, is he? Oh my goodness. I don't know then. I was giving him a pass because I thought he was like 21. So, yeah. Alright, so that actually really changes my perspective on him a little bit. So it makes a little more sense if he's 21. I kind of like, okay, because everyone does mature at different rates. That's completely true, right? So, I look, I don't want you guys to think I'm like kicking him when he's down, but for me, it's kind of he's doing very well. His editing skills are top notch, but in terms of pure content, it's not what I would watch. And part of that is just being on different sort of mental wavelengths, maturity-wise, I guess. And that's all it is. It's... I don't know. And by the way, I say this as somebody who doesn't mind throwing their life out there. Like, I have no problem talking about that. You know, I have no problem showcasing my life, or like, you know, I did a video when we drove and stayed in a hotel in Motel 6 during the hurricanes, or like we go out of the country doing stuff like that. Yeah, I would say constructive criticism is kind of what I'm saying. And just kind of explain, not that I think his content's bad. I think it's very good. It's just not for me. When he was doing more sort of how he got started in coding, that's really what I liked about it. And now I think it's a little less so. Can you tell Eli, the computer guy, how to make content and delete sound? What do you think? I know Eli? I don't know Eli at all. Eli doesn't know me either. Eli don't give a shit about me. You hate Chris's hardcore positive, anyone can do it when you got a lucky ass break. It doesn't sound like you got a lucky ass break. You put in some work. I would say that I don't always like his advice. I think he gives very poor advice a lot of the times. The advice to take a unpaid internship is awful advice in my opinion. And I saw something the other day saying that like the job stats on who was getting paid, like, so he was saying something, this is a while back, and this is when I advice wise, when it comes to like he's like, well, no one's actually getting hired at the rates that the job sites are saying. Like, you know, the area says 65,000. I think it was the live stream I was watching, but most people are getting hired at 45. It's like, no. Statistically speaking, from the people who collect the stats, most people are getting hired at 65 or whatever the number was. And you telling people this is really bad advice, in my opinion, anyhow. So I kind of have disagreed with his advice at times, but people have disagreed with mine as well. So I don't know, man. I mean, I think if you work very hard, you can become a developer. I don't think I don't know, man. I don't know how to put it, because I feel like he may not take this as constructive criticism. That's my main thing right now. Is I don't ever. I'm trying to be constructive as to why I think he's wrong and make an argument, but he's not here to defend himself as to why he thinks that is. So it's not fair for me to criticize him, because that's not what I want to do. I'm just kind of, since it came up, let me talk about it. And honestly, I don't watch enough of his videos to be able to tell you if he gives better advice than he was giving 6 months ago. But I wasn't I don't know, maybe he's understand the game a little bit better, I guess. So yeah, I mean, FinTech's right. I don't think it's hard. I don't think it's hard to the point where it's impossible. There is a certain group of people who can't do it. and the people who do just do it for the money usually burn out. But it just takes a lot of hard work, and it takes a lot of dedication, especially to get going. And it's definitely not a good fit for everybody, and it's pretty clear, right? So a lot of times you'll have project managers and business analysts who on your team, you know, they actually used to be developers and they transitioned to other roles because they weren't happy with it, right? Maybe they didn't want to write code, or it wasn't really for them. Maybe they weren't the best at it, or maybe maybe it's one of those things where they just didn't enjoy it, but they're in the industry, and how can we transition to another role? So, yeah. Ask yourself this: would you be willing to code for free? If so, coding is for you. That's not a very good thing. I mean, are you willing to code outside of your job? I think is a better answer. There's a lot of things that I code outside my job. I would not code for somebody who didn't want to pay me, which is a completely separate thing. But I do think it's important, especially when you're getting started and building, that you actually enjoy coding. And a lot of times people, on paper, becoming a developer is a very good career. It pays well. There's a lot of jobs. It's in high demand. Basically everything that you want in a job, and it has large growth. Right? The three main things are: does it pay well? Are there a lot of jobs? And are those jobs growing? And being a developer hits all those. So a lot of people naturally will be taken to that direction, but very few will actually sit down and figure out, hey, is this for me? Is this something that I enjoy? And most people say, look, I haven't enjoyed a job a day in my life. I don't care about this one, but really it is something that you need to enjoy long term. Get all kinds of girls as a developer. I don't know, man. I don't know what type of development you're doing, but we'll have to talk. No. My buddy just graduated with CS degree in June, and we're going to be attending a boot camp in spring. He can't even complete the tribute page of Free Code Camp. Now, that could be a situation where he can't code, or that could be a situation where he never got taught HTML and CSS. Am I scared of outsourcing, or can you talk about it? I'm not scared of outsourcing in the slightest, but I think web design, a lot of jobs are getting outsourced. Web development, not so much. A lot of companies want to do stuff in-house. It gives them a lot more control, a lot more customizability, and it's oftentimes a lot cheaper than actually outsourcing to a contracting company. Have I ever ran into a coworker that was just impossible to work with? No, but I have worked with some that have felt that way about others. I'm a pretty mellow dude for the most part. I try to make sure that I can work with everybody. I'm not like super serious, and I try to, make everything a joke. So I try to get on people's good sides, because that's how I don't like being super serious. And if someone is below par, I try to raise them up. And if someone doesn't get anything, I try to make them better. And if someone is difficult to work with, I try to use my communication skills to find out why. So if there has ever been somebody that has been difficult to work with, I will directly ask them and say, hey, man, what you just did isn't sitting right with me. Am I misreading the situation, or did I offend you in some way? Just direct. None of this. Let's be passive aggressive, and then 3 months later, we're still being passive aggressive. I think having a good communication skills can solve a lot of those issues of people being too aggressive. The AI fear is so overblown. I'll tell you this right now, guys. The AI stuff, people are losing their damn mind over about something that if AI is writing our code for us, we have a lot more issues in the world than you think are going to happen. But I think most people are just like to worry. That's it. But I don't know, man. If you guys have been following what AI can do now, it's not too much. It's not, yeah. But also, like, what are your alternatives? I mean, really, what are some good alternatives? What happened to your podcast? I have a couple recorded, so I did two with Nicholas Spinoza, and it just wasn't working out on my end. I really didn't enjoy having a partner in crime. Not that there was anything wrong with Nick. I just kind of like to work on my own schedule, right? When you're a developer, you work at a company, you work under someone else's schedule. When you're a YouTuber, one of the great things about having your own channel is it's yours, right? You can put your time into it however you want, whenever you want, in whatever direction you want, and you live and die by that. And although it was great working with him, and I have nothing but positive things to say from a work standpoint of now I have to kind of, as a professional, keep myself accountable because I'm working with another professional. It was something that I didn't like. The YouTube, part of the reason I'm able to do YouTube and not care that I'm not growing as fast as I would want and stuff like that is that I keep it fun. I keep it as something that I enjoy doing, and I continue to grow and all that sort of stuff. But it felt so much like a job, even after the two podcasts, that although I'm going to continue podcasts on my own, I'm not going to take on a partner in the immediate future ever again. Do you have any courses on Udemy? No, not yet. I did just interview Tyler McGinnis this last weekend, so that will come out. Look forward to that. Would I ever consider starting my own business / company versus working a 9 to 5? Yeah. I definitely would if I, maybe not as a developer, like it'd be software related. Like I've talked about opening a dev clothing store or dev like stickers, notebooks, sort of like a Varianto 25. And I've also talked about having like a dev loot crate box. If something like that took off and I was able to market it through the channel and it was making me more than a full-time income as a developer, and I couldn't do both, I'd probably hire somebody in the near future. Maybe have April run the general day-to-day until it got to a point where it could support two people. But yeah, I mean, I'm not opposed to taking gambles in life. If I were to start my own business and it didn't work out, there's no reason I couldn't go back and become a developer somewhere. Am I seeing companies transition from Angular 1 to Angular 4? Yes. When I was interviewing, I had Angular 1 experience, and a lot of companies were asking how I felt about Angular 4, what my experience was, that they were going to be transitioning to it, and so on and so forth. And so it seems that a lot of companies are are, now that it's out of beta and there's a lot more documentation, a lot more tutorials, people are much more familiar with it. Yes, a lot of companies are switching to Angular 4. Or AngularJS to Angular, I should say. The people at Angular have officially stated somewhere in their documentation that you shouldn't be saying it's Angular 4 because it's weird to say the version number. You should just say Angular. What are your thoughts on Flash? I think you're an idiot if you're using Flash still because Chrome disables it by default. You remember when I only had 3 to 5 people watching your live streams? Yeah, it was just you and then 3 or 4 of my browser windows open. No, channel's grown. Yeah, it's good, man. It's nice. I've been live streaming for 2 hours. I don't know how you guys got me for 2 hours, man. Yeah, next time on the Flash, Barry Allen must face against his greatest foe, Google Chrome. All right, guys. Let me wrap this up. If you're new to the live stream, the reason I did this live stream tonight was to say thank you to the new 1,000 subscribers that have joined us. We are now at 28,000 subscribers. Pretty cool, right? The goal is 100K. We're going for it, right? I like to do these every 1,000 subscribers. Take a second to thank the 1,000 that came before. It's for still tuning in, and tell the new 1,000 welcome. And I like to end everything on a series of final thoughts or so. And I think that we will have our final thought be about maturity. And what I want to say is everybody matures at a different rate. And I find that I know that I matured when I understood what it was that I wanted in life. A lot of times we go aimlessly through life and we're just trying to be numb instead of be happy. And so, whatever it is, I want you to really think about what it is you want in life and why. And then think about how you can accomplish that. And you may mature in the process, because that's what happened to me. Is I kind of really thought about what it was that I wanted in life, what I was unhappy with, and I was able to really hone in on how to improve it. And because of that, I've been a lot happier in the process. Sometimes, I mean, how many of you have a dream board where you dream of doing something and you work towards it, or you have ideas that are concrete that you're working every day towards? Probably very few, unfortunately. And I think when you actually think concretely about what your goals are and how you want to accomplish them, you'll be much more successful and mature a lot in the process. So I hope that there's nothing wrong with maturing, right? It sounds like such an old cliche word. You know, if you're going through like puberty right now, you're like, shut up, old man. But I think it's something about maturing as an individual. It can happen at any age, whether you're young or old, right? There's plenty of 50-year-old people acting like they're 15-year-old kids. But I would say that I know for me, when I actually thought about my goals and how I was going to accomplish them, that there's a certain level of maturity that had to be earned and learned, and helped me become a developer, and I'm slowly accomplishing other things that I want, and I've been a lot happier in the process. So just something to think about. That's today's final thoughts. Like the late, great, I don't think Jerry Springer is dead, but like the great Jerry Springer himself. So take it what you will. A lot of times I will just give you my thoughts. You'll do with it what you will. Sometimes in the comments you'll tell me No one gives a shit about your final thoughts, Dylan. But we're giving some homage to the Springster, if you will. So have a good night, guys. I appreciate y'all. Thank you to the 28,000 that are here. And don't forget to comment, like, subscribe, share, support me on Patreon, join the Facebook group, all that great shit. And I'll see you next time. Bye.